Hi everyone, Crack the D, Curtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Gorillaz album, Cracker Island. Yeah, this is the newest full-length LP from legendary virtual band Gorillaz. 2D and the gang are back with their first studio album offering since 2020, Song Machine. Song Machine Season 1, mind you. I'm sure the second season is due any day now. Any day. I'm tired of waiting. Either way, Song Machine was a great, fun, extravagant, and colorful collection of songs that celebrated the eclectic dynamics of Gorillaz and also featured some of their best collaborations and crossovers to date. Cracker Island, however, isn't so much a loose collection of bangers as that record was. This thing is more of a concept record in terms of sound and narrative. It seems to be another destination album as well, because years ago we were once invited to a plastic beach, and now with this record we are hopping on a jet ski to a Cracker Island, whose general culture and vibe is described in quite a bit of detail on the opening title track, with references to it being a made-up paradise, with distorted truths, cult behavior, occult behavior. As Stephen Hawking once famously said in that Simpsons episode, "I wanted to see a utopia, but now I see it is more of a fruitopia." There's some great production on this track too, with some bright textured synth leads, a discotheque bass line, fat and driving dance grooves, and a very colorful vocal feature from the one and only Thundercat. It's a bold and great introduction to this new world that for some reason takes a surprisingly bland nosedive right away, with the song Oil, which sounds like a really airy and toothless piece of synthpop. With a super static beat, I'm also surprised that the Stevie Nicks feature on this thing isn't much more than a background vocal, because her voice and presence could have easily lent itself to something much bigger and more dramatic, especially on a record trying to characterize such a dreamy dystopia. Still, I do like the world building going on in the lyrics on the track, but I think things take an even more boring turn on the following The Tired Influencer, whose instrumental sounds like an overpriced cruise I don't really want to be on. And lyrically on this thing, of course, we get a lot of very on-the-nose influencer commentary. We're living in a cracked screen world. Frankly, even though the chorus melody on this track is pretty good, I found Gorillaz to touch down on this topic a lot more effectively with some of the content on Song Machine. This just feels like a lesser revisit. However, following this track, we have the single Silent Running, which I do enjoy quite a bit, even if it sounds like Damon Albarn is kind of fishing for the most focused grouped Gorillaz hit ever here. The track aesthetically feels really airbrushed, smooth, not so much of the cartoony and creative antics, sonically speaking, we typically expect from a Gorillaz song. Between the glamorous pianos, the pristine reverb on the vocals, as well as the whistles in the background, this thing sounds like something from the mainstream indie wave of the 2000s. I kinda enjoy the raw piano version of the track a bit more that's featured on the deluxe edition of the record. But at the very least, the song does reinforce the continued narrative of being isolated and searching for a new world. Next, we get another single from the record, New Gold, featuring Tame Impala as well as Booty Brown. I wasn't crazy about this when I first heard it. I'm still not that into it. Really, it comes down to a couple of things. One, the Booty Brown feature is not great. Disappointing, frankly, and not the level of presentation, performance, and lyricism I expect from a veteran of the game. The rhyme schemes and level of wit are giving more amateur rapper than they are founding member of the Far Side. Plus, the instrumental just sounds like a Tame Impala song with a disco beat. It's really one of my least favorite Gorillaz singles to date, and what's funny is that it doesn't even sound that much like a Gorillaz song. The narrative dream sequences on this thing continue on to the track Baby Queen. At this point, Cracker Island is almost giving me the easygoing vibes of 2018's The Now all over again. But still, the song does feature an interesting perspective on a real-life experience that Damon Albarn had back in the day, meeting the princess of Thailand in the 90s as he was still a part of the band Blur. He dreamed dreams about meeting her again much later in life, and what exactly this means isn't really explained, but again, I suppose it does contribute to the dreamy tapestry the record is weaving together. Tarantula is a groovy disco-influenced cut with some lovesick lyrics on the chorus. The beat and melodies are nice, but once again, even though I enjoy the song at the core of this track, the aesthetics of this song instrumentally just come off really washed out. Meanwhile, Tormenta featuring Bad Bunny feels like I am being taken to a tropical island vacation at gunpoint as Gorillaz make an awkward attempt at delivering some reggaeton music that doesn't go over super great. I guess I get what Damon was going for with the very thin toy type instrumentation on the verses, then the very thick and lush choruses, but ultimately both sides of this coin I think are missing something. And while the Bad Bunny feature is fine, it doesn't exactly save the track. Then Skinny Ape is maybe my favorite track on the entire project and one of the more creative and surprising Gorillaz songs of all time. Feels pretty out of place on this record too, weirdly, with this super rustic acoustic intro, which builds up into a loud, thick, thrilling, lo-fi finale. It feels like this is what you would get if Neutral Milk Hotel made synth-pop. Skinny little, skinny little, skinny little, skinny little, ape, 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 ape. But contrast this with the closer Possession featuring Beck, which I think is one of the most tedious ballads to end up on any Gorillaz record. It reminds me of something from one of Damon's very gray and dull solo records, even if there is a message of hope and unity at the core of the track. And once again, like with Stevie Nicks earlier on the record, I just don't really see what Beck brings to this track vocally other than just a little bit of background color. I think his placement, I think his inclusion could have been a lot more interesting. The track doesn't really do too much for me outside of the very triumphant trumpet passages toward the very end. Yeah, this Gorillaz album overall, while I didn't hate it, I wasn't crazy about it either. For sure, I can commend it for being somewhat of a concept, a portrait, an idea, but it's kind of a dreamy, flavorless, meager one and doesn't really dig that deeply into its central point, its most obvious themes. Make the obvious comparison to an earlier record like Plastic Beach, which is so much more colorful, so much more well-produced, well-written, and immersive. If that record for Gorillaz is the definition of exploring a new world, this is more of a weekend getaway at a timeshare. I'm feeling a light to decent 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Gorillaz, Cracker Island, forever.